All right, let's get started with a reverse lunge and reach. During this dynamic warm-up, we are going to do 8 different movements for 45 seconds each, and I can promise you, you're going to be warm by the time we are done. Now, in the future, you can just mute this video so you don't have to hear me talking the whole time when you're really familiar with the moves. But for the time being, follow my cues and let's get going. So with this reverse lunge reach, you can drop the knee and rest it for a second while you stretch out the core, or you can simply hover it over above the ground. The most important thing though is that you're giving yourself space to step back and adding that reach to really practice lengthening the core. Now, every time that you see me dip down to my timer is when we are going to start another movement. The next one we're going to do is a sumo squat with a hamstring stretch. Now, the length you have in between your feet is optional. You can even turn the toes out if you'd like to, but I find I like to point my toes forward and take a little bit more of a wider stance and then stretch out the hamstrings. This one's going to be a good one because mostly everybody is tight in their hamstrings. So when I go down into a squat, I like to put my elbows in between my knees and kind of push them out a little bit just so I can get a deeper stretch on my inner thighs. But take this one as slow as you would like because you're gonna feel it and it's gonna feel good. And you're getting warm at the very same time. Okay, just about done with this one. The next one we are going to do are mid-back rotations. So you're going to get on your hands and knees. The form is not super specific right here. I mean, you could position your knees right underneath your hips, but I kind of like to give my lower body a little bit of a break and really focus on that outward rotation with the shoulders. If you want to deepen the stretch, you can look up at your hand when it's pointing towards the ceiling or the sky, but it's total preference. You can also keep your arm bent in a 90-degree position or reach up. It's totally up to you. Focus on your breathing and be sure to just take it at a pace that feels really good for you. Okay, let's do the next movement. This one is a down dog to hip stretch. This one feels really good as well, and I would recommend that you take it at a speed or a pace that feels good, that allows you to really get deep into the stretch. When you're doing a downward dog, you want to make sure that you are dropping the heels and really getting the stretch all the way through your calves and your hamstrings. And this is also a great one for the shoulders. You can see right here, if you drop your head through towards your feet, you'll get a deeper stretch right there. Now, when you switch legs and bring one foot up towards your hand, you can drop the hips and hold it there for a second. I find myself doing a tiny bounce, which I think is okay, but you don't want to do anything too big or major. All right, good job. Next movement. This one is core lengthening and rotation. So you just put one leg up so that you can work on lengthening one side a little bit more. What I do is I reach up for 4 and then I reach across for 4. And I'll switch legs and do the same thing. Reach up for 4. And I find that 45 seconds is enough time to do each of these once on each side. And then I simply drop both my knees and then really focus on my core lengthening. You can even take those ones a little bit slower if you'd like. And then reaching across, keeping your core nice and tight, your hips slightly tucked to engage the core. And we are good with that one. All right, let's move on to the next movement. Okay, plank with arm circles. This is kind of the breaking point where you're gonna get really warm. If you cannot yet do a plank for 45 seconds with this variation, you can totally do this one on your knees as well. But what you do want to focus on is really getting that rotation in the shoulders so that you're warming up your entire body for the movement. You may have noticed that I lead with my arms forward for a few times and then I lead with my arms backwards, and that's just preference. You can do it the same way or you can switch it up and do it how you'd like, but be sure to keep a nice tight core and minimal shifting in the hips if you really want a good warm-up. All right, we are going into the final 2 movements of our warm-up, and this is a cat-cow with shoulder rotation. So what I like about this one is that it helps me prepare to pack my shoulders in every single exercise that we're going to do. So first, you're just going to start by lifting the back. You are rounding it out, and then as you drop it down, you just do that shoulder rotation and then come right back up. Now, as far as arching your back, you can go down as far as you'd like, as much as you feel comfortable, but what I really want to focus on is core contraction and packing the shoulders. So do this one for a good 45 seconds and continue to get warm in this dynamic warm-up. All right, let's take the very last movement and work through it. I want you to know though that you can completely omit this movement if you need to, and I put it last for a reason. So if you do admit it, you can just stop the video. The reason why this one is optional is because there is more flexion and extension in the back, which can be dangerous if you've had back pain or back injury in the past. So I want you to use your own discretion and only use this movement or warm up if it's going to benefit you. There's no reason to make your body go through this full range of motion if you're not ready for it. So I'm simply walking out, I'm dropping my hips, and then I'm lifting my chin to get a really good deep stretch in the core. All right, good luck with this dynamic warm-up, and I hope you use it often.